After 2,080 hours of printing on my Bambu Lab A1, I've come to a conclusion that I haven't heard before, which is that this printer is just too good. So in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know before buying one, from what makes it so brilliant, why I'd choose it over the A1 Mini, and the one problem that only exists because it makes 3D printing so convenient. There's a lot more that I'll cover as well, so these are the chapters and you can skip around between them using the timeline below. And before we dive in, just a quick note to say that I have bought everything in this video with my own money, including the printer, the AMS light, and all of the Bambu branded filament. So let's start off with what makes this printer so special. I've wanted a 3D printer for a long time. I have a lot of ideas around the house of little things that I would love to print to make my life easier. Some of the OG fans will know that I've been using Blender for 16 years. I love the idea of turning some of my ideas into physical objects. But the reason I was put off for a long time is my experience in my undergrad. So in my undergrad, we had this MakerBot printer, and the idea was to use it to make personalized, like 3D printed hearts so that the surgeons can practice procedures before going ahead with them. Now that sounds incredibly useful, maybe. It sounds like it could help patients out a huge amount. But my strongest memory of this 3D printer is just coming into the office and the MakerBot rep being there and like apologizing for it not working and saying, oh no, it's just the bed leveling, you just have to level the bed, but then not being able to level the bed. And so in my head, 3D printing was always this thing that was like nice as an idea, but incredibly hard to execute. This was 10 years ago, and over the last year, 2 years, I've been hearing about just how easy 3D printing has got, and a large part of that is thanks to Bambu Lab. So I thought this would be a perfect time to dive back in, buy my own printer, which will be my first owned 3D printer, and see just how much is improved. And let me just tell you, the difference between then and now is night and day. So let's start with the unboxing experience. It's relatively painless. I was set up, it felt like 30 minutes to an hour, and then setting up and calibration was really quick and painless. I really like how it talks you through the entire calibration, and the prompts on screen talk you through exactly what it's doing, which is really cool. You get to learn about this hobby kind of slowly in these little bite-sized things. Like I get to learn that the printer does something called automatic vibration compensation. And as soon as you have it set up, you can just use the app and print stuff. I'll cover the app in a lot of detail later, but you can load up your filament, you can send something to the printer from your phone, and it'll print. You don't have to worry about the bed leveling that used to be the bane of my life. You don't have to worry about Z compensation, flow rate calibration, all of these things. It's all handled for you by the printer. And for the most part, prints come out successfully and in very good surface finish quality and very quickly. On the quality, I have a whole chapter later on discussing like a lot of the failures that I've had to give you a flavor of the kind of things that fail, how often were they user error and how often were they problems with the printer. The vast majority are user error. And on print speed, like I say, it's incredibly fast. I'll leave it to other reviewers to compare the speed with different printers. This is the only printer that I own at the moment. But what I'm interested in, more than the speed of like printing a Benchy, is the speed at which you can prototype stuff. And that is just remarkable. I can come up with this little ocean-inspired thing, print it. I think this takes like 15-20 minutes. Whilst printing, I can figure out what's wrong with it, like get a version 2 set up, and then as soon as this is finished, I can prototype the second version. And you spend much more of your time doing the fun stuff, or the stuff that I find fun, which is designing stuff in 3D, picking out materials, all of that stuff. And you spend very little time troubleshooting the printer. And one thing I'd really recommend, because it speeds up your process of developing, of printing fun different prints, I'd really recommend the AMS Lite. And just at the time of filming, they've just announced AMS 2 Pro support on the A1. So consider that if it's in your budget and if you want some of the features like drying and stuff. But the AMS Lite, it's so good. When I first bought it, I thought I'd be printing lots of like multicolored thing where it switches color mid-print and each layer has 2 or 3 or 4 different colors. You will do a bit of that because it's fun, but most of your prints will be a single color, but you should still get the AMS light because you can have 4 spools in there, say 3 colors of PLA and then a bit of transparent PETG, and print to print. You don't have to change the spool. You can just print something in pink and take it off the build plate and then print something in this blue and then print the tribute to the holy grail of dry boxes in clear PETG. And the AMS makes that so easy. And it's not just the AMS, the entire ecosystem, as people will tell you, works really well together. So printing from your phone while you're out and about, monitoring from your phone, all works seamlessly. And the incredible ecosystem is about more than just the hardware and software. It's also about the community and the makes that people share with each other. Almost any accessory for your A1 that you can imagine, someone has probably already made and has probably already released for you to print for free. You should watch my video where I cover 24 accessories that I printed to tell you which ones are worth it and which ones I wouldn't recommend. And I'll also say the shipping experience is incredibly consistent. I've heard conflicting things from the US, but all I can share is my experience in the UK. Every single order has arrived exactly 2 sleeps after I ordered it, except for one which was even sooner, like 1 sleep. But meaning I'll order on like Monday and I'll get it on Wednesday. But the reason I say sleeps is because even if I order at like 1 AM on a Sunday, which is technically now like Monday morning, I'll still get it on a Wednesday. Really good shipping, at least where I live. So next, why did I choose the A1 over the A1 Mini? And why do I think you should do the same? Well, the obvious thing is it's not mini, so you can print significantly larger things. Now, a lot of the time, there are these creative ways to shrink things down and print it in multiple parts and get it onto the small A1 Mini build plate, and then you can print it in 2 goes. But there are some things that just simply don't fit on the A1 Mini, and you will feel like left out, I think, when you discover these prints that you just can't print because you have a build plate that's too big. For example, and you know I'm going to shill my own dry box. I spent a lot of time designing this thing that keeps your filament really dry. You can now even attach filament samples on the outside. There's a 1 spool variant. You should print it and like it and review it and boost it. But no matter how much I try, there will just be no way for me to engineer this to print on an A1 Mini. I would have to cut it in half somehow, and then there's just no way you can seal this again if it's been cut in half and keep humidity tightness. But that's just the obvious thing. There are other reasons actually where the A1 just makes more sense. So even if you're printing small stuff only, and you know that with 100% certainty, you should still get the A1. There are still advantages to the A1. For example, if you want to print lots of small stuff overnight, you'll be able to fit more stuff on the full A1 build plate and you'll use up more of that time overnight, 8, 9, 10 hours while you're sleeping before you wake up. But the difference is even bigger if you look at the actual print times. So if you take something small like this, and let's say this takes 20 minutes to print, printing 2 of these won't take 40 minutes. It's not linear. It's a little bit faster. It only does the prep once, for example. This difference is even bigger if you're printing multicolored things where it has to switch filament in each layer. Like if this had to switch filament for every layer, the print time could easily be double or triple. So let's say this would take an hour to print with multiple colors in each layer. If you were printing 2 of them, the difference is going to be even smaller because the longest time is spent changing filament. And so if one takes an hour, 2 might take an hour 20. You might be able to print 4 in 2 hours. And the reason that relates to A1 versus A1 Mini is that A1, you can print a larger number of things. So you can take advantage of this like greater efficiency when you're filling your print bed. Another reason is that the Mini isn't even that mini. So the biggest selling point is that it's small, it can fit in like tiny corners of your house, but actually that all changes if you have the AMS light. I've already said how much I like the AMS Lite. I would really recommend it for anyone with either of these printers. But the reason that's relevant here is if you have the AMS Lite and the A1, you can top mount it. So you can put it on top of your printer, and then your entire printer and AMS Lite, the entire ecosystem, not the ecosystem of filament, but that's a story for another day. The entire thing will just take up the size of the A1, whereas the A1 Mini has no place to mount the AMS on top of it, so you have to have it sideways. And so if you're more constrained in like horizontal space versus vertical space, A1 non-mini takes up less like desk space because it compacts on top of each other. Now, if you have infinite horizontal space, but you don't have vertical space, and you're really budget constrained, the entry price of the A1 Mini is incredibly tempting, but I still wouldn't do it. 3D printing is an expensive hobby, and the printer is actually, it's only a small part of the things that you're going to end up having to buy. And so this like $50 to $100 that you might save now, down the line, it's equivalent to like a couple of spools that you're going to buy. It depends on the exact spools. What I'm trying to say is it might seem like a big price jump from the A1 Mini to the A1, but it's well worth it. And when you look at the total investment that you will end up spending on dryers and filament and accessories and calipers and shelving, it's almost negligible, and I think you'll regret buying the A1 Mini. At least I would have, because there's so much that I've been able to do with the A1 that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. So far, I make it sound really good, but what are the downsides of the A1? Like, what do I wish I had known before I bought it? Let me start off by addressing what I teased in the intro about it being too easy. It's too easy, but it does so much that you might be lulled into this false idea that 3D printing is set and forget when it isn't, and there's no way it can be. Even with the most set and forget printers like the A1, there is stuff you have to do. You have to lubricate the Y-axis every 150 print hours or so. You have to troubleshoot sometimes. Usually it's not the printer's fault, and we'll get into like a long list of my failures later, but you do have to do some troubleshooting. Some of your prints won't come out, and you have to be comfortable asking Reddit, Googling the answers, asking a large language model. Now, everyone's different. A lot of people enjoy like tinkering with the flow calibration and doing their own mesh bed leveling and all that stuff, and all power to you. But my enjoyment comes from like coming out with prints, designing prints, iterating, and you will be able to do a lot of that with the A1. It minimizes the other stuff, but you have to be aware that there is stuff you'll still have to do. Another reason it's a problem that it makes printing so easy is that you'll actually use it. You'll print a ton of stuff. And if you're anything like me, you will end up with a lot of filament. You'll end up with a lot of 3D prints all over the house with different levels of usefulness and different levels of like visual appeal. Like, most of them will be helpful and they'll look nice, but you will be printing a lot because it makes it so easy and so fun. The problem is just like figuring out what to print next and finding the next thing to print. The next point is the fact that it's a bed slinger. Now, most of my objection to bed slingers is just that they look kind of ugly. It seems very inelegant to have to move the build plate. Like, it makes more sense to me that you move the tool head around, surely. In practice, if you have enough room for it, behind it and in front of it, it's completely fine. The biggest downside of the design is that it's not enclosed. So I wouldn't print ABS on this, even with the best ventilation in the world, because of the fumes that it gives off. You also can't print materials that need a specific chamber temperature. Maybe ABS needs that as well, but for printing PLA, PETG, some TPUs, it's perfectly fine. An interesting little thing about bed slingers that I've noticed, if you love time lapses like I do, it makes time lapses harder because let's say you're printing in vase mode, it's moving continuously, so you can't use the time lapse mod to take a neat time lapse at every layer. And so if you capture a time lapse with an intervalometer kind of thing, like a picture every second, every few seconds, the build plate moves around and it doesn't look very good. Whereas if the build plate was like steady, the vase would stay in the same place, so you could see the tool head moving, but you'd get a smoother time lapse. Very small thing, maybe I'm the only person that cares about that. Something that's missing from the A1 that's available on the higher end printers like the X1C P2S now, I believe, is spaghetti detection. So if you have print failures, it will just continue depending on the exact failure. I don't think that's a huge thing because you get spaghetti so rarely. And when you do, it's almost always your fault. So spaghetti detection wouldn't be a deal breaker for me. And neither would the touch screen. It's fine, it's a little bit unresponsive. It's quite annoying when you get errors because for the screen to show up the error takes like multiple seconds. So you have to sit there waiting and it'll load from the top and then you can click like I fixed it or whatever. The touchscreen is acceptable. It's probably better than like the P1S button system, though I haven't used it. Now I'm in two minds about how much of a deal breaker this next one is. It's the camera. It is very low refresh rate. It's like 1 picture per second or worse. I used to think it's fine because, oh, you're just checking your print. You can feel safe that the print's gonna succeed. But then I saw the demo of the P2S with the much higher refresh rate camera, and that thing looks so much better, doesn't it? I'm not sure how much practical use the refresh rate is. If you're just using it to monitor, maybe a slow refresh rate is fine. You have to wait a bit longer to see the first picture, but a better camera would be better, and it would be especially better for time lapses. You can tell that I like time lapses. I've designed my own like mod so you can take time lapses on any camera. I'm scared they're gonna launch an A2 instantly that makes my A1 obsolete, but if they do, I really hope they give it a better camera and better touchscreen. And next I have 3 things that are not deal breakers, but they're little things that you feel were missing from the experience if you buy it stock. I was gonna say it doesn't support the AMS2 Pro. They've just announced that support in the latest version of Bambu Studio, but it's a shame that hasn't been available for a long time. It won't be as easy to top mount it, I don't think. I'm not sure if they'll allow 2. If you know, or if you can find that information, let us know down in the comments. You can't buy it as a combo with the A1, which again is a shame. It feels like the A1 is kind of an afterthought to the AMS2 Pro, but the AMS2 Pro is nice. It dries your filament. You can kind of forget about like a separate dryer a lot of the time. Maybe you can connect 2 and have 8 colors. Yeah, it would have been nice if AMS2 Pro was supported earlier and it was supported more completely. And then 2 things you can buy, but it would be nice if they were included. It comes with a normal stainless steel nozzle. I would have really liked to see a hardened steel nozzle come with it. A lot of the higher end printers do. It's kind of understandable at this price point, but a lot of people will print with abrasive filament, not realizing that it's going to wear their nozzle. And yeah, Reddit has some horror stories of people with really worn out nozzles and print quality that's gone down the drain because they didn't know. And also it comes with a dual-sided textured PEI plate. I would have really liked a dual texture, so textured on one side, smooth on the other side. That does come with some of the higher end printers. And it would have been nice. It would have meant that you don't have to buy a separate plate. You can experiment with textured prints, smooth prints. But again, neither of those are deal breakers because you can buy them after the fact. Next, let's talk about print failures. Now, I wanted to tell you about every single print failure that I've had, but look, there are lots of these subtle ones that I forget to note down, so I can't do that. But I do have 12 print failures. These are some of the earliest print failures that I faced. I think they're more likely to represent the kind of print failures that you're more likely to get, especially in your first phase of owning this printer. So let's talk through them and we'll see which ones were my fault, which ones might have been the printer's fault. The first one was a big set of Gridfinity bins, and one of them in the corner wasn't sticking. It was like coming off and it failed. But luckily I caught that and I was able to skip object, and so it printed the rest of it without wasting all that print time. That was just because of my own like grubby hands touching the build plate. I washed down the print plate with some washing up liquid and I was able to print the exact same thing flawlessly. And since then I'm much more mindful about touching the build plate. I only touch it at the absolute like corners. I haven't had that issue again, so that's definitely user error. The second set of failures I had was when I printed my own filament, and I made the mistake of printing my own filament onto glue stick smooth PEI sheet, and some of that glue stick must have stayed on the filament. So when I then tried to print with that printed filament, I got lots of print errors, probably caused by this glue stick that it was trying to extrude. I repeated this without the glue stick and it printed much better. So again, user error. I also had lots of issues with PETG, as a lot of people do. I got like, not spaghetti, but like horrendously failed prints, stringing, but almost all of my PETG troubles were also my own fault. So trying to print it too fast, just print it at 100%. It's still very fast. It's perfectly fine. You just have to wait. Printing it without drying, you can get horrendous stringing. Like sometimes the inside of my dry box looks like this horrendous spider's web. I dry it and those problems disappear, so you just have to dry your PETG. I've also made the mistake of enabling time lapses without a prime tower with PETG. That causes horrendous problems in the corner especially. Now actually all three of these things, like speed, drying, time lapse without a prime tower, you can do those with PLA, which is maybe what lulled me into a false sense of security. I was doing them with PLA with no issues, but you can't treat all materials differently. And this is one of the things that I mean when I say that it's too easy, you take it for granted. You still have to learn about materials. Anything harder than PETG, you still have to learn about, and you have to learn these like nuances to it. I had some issues with the 0.8mm nozzle trying to print too fast. So it was PLA, but if I sped it up to ludicrous, but even sports, which is only 24% faster, it would like hit the prints and take them off the build plate. And I had to restart that print multiple times because I couldn't quite figure it out. Issue went away when I went back to the 0.4mm nozzle. So a lot of these things, it seems like they're tuned for PLA with the normal 0.4mm nozzle. And so whenever you deviate from that, you have to be really careful not to cause problems. Next thing is TPU. TPU is just hard to print. If anyone's cracked it, like let me know in the comments. So I bought some very soft TPU, 85A I believe, because it was on sale. I didn't realize that it isn't officially supported by the A1 because it's too soft. It's designed for higher end printers. But I managed to print it anyway with a lot of work and a dry box that came with my Qi 2 E1 dryer. And I had to like pull it out myself to reduce the friction. And I was able to print a little bit. I was able to print this phone case, but it was horribly stringy. Some of the walls kind of came apart, which is weird. They hadn't adhered to each other. TPU is hard. That's probably definitely user error as well. Now my next point is more of a category of print failures rather than like a specific one, but it's clogged nozzles. Your nozzle will clog sometimes. Sometimes you can click resume, pretend nothing happened, and it will just continue. But sometimes you will have to troubleshoot. This can be caused by like abrasive filaments. So this specific issue I was thinking about happened with some marble PLA. I've got a lot of clogged nozzles when I've printed my own filament. It's kind of understandable, like the print might have little imperfections. You do have to be prepared to do a cold pull occasionally. Sometimes it's like easier than that. You can like cut the filament or open the AMS divider thing and like find the filament and pull it out. But you do sometimes have to unclog a nozzle. That's not exactly user error, but it's not exactly the printer's fault either. It is just a fact of 3D printing. Another failure is that occasionally a print won't stick to the print bed. It might fall off while it's printing. I don't think that's the printer's fault again. So for me, that's been like my own prototype where I didn't add a brim. It just needed a brim. So I enabled that and that fixed the issue. And it's really nice because I was printing two things, only one of them fell off. So the cancel object feature came in really handy. I canceled the thing that fell off and continued the other. Another print failure I had is some air printing. Maybe this is another reason to get the AMS light because it includes some air printing detection. But I was printing a very abrasive filament, PETG CF. It's so abrasive that it's not compatible with the AMS light, so I was printing it from a dry box, which disables this air printing detection. And about like 80% through the print, it started air printing. It's hard to say why this was. It's a combination of the dry box. Maybe the specific dry box I was using had too high like friction. Maybe if the rollers were better quality or if they used like ball bearings, it would have been able to pull the filament more reliably and it wouldn't have like stopped extruding, which is what causes it. Actually, come to think of it, I've also had air printing when I printed with my own printed filament. By the way, you should watch my video on that if you want to do it. It's quite hard to print your own filament and I've made a lot of mistakes in it, so you can learn from them there. But yeah, I've also had air printing there. Again, it's hard for me to say if it's the printer's fault. It's definitely a fact of 3D printing, but the fact that you get air printing detection with the AMS light is really handy. Another failure is that sometimes when I print, there'll be weird little dirty things in the middle of the box that I'm printing. I get this a lot with clear PETG. I don't know what that is. It used to be caused by my like nozzle wiper having a bit of dirt in it. I have a video on how I fixed that for free. But even after I fixed that, I still had a little bit of this like dirty kind of burnt looking stuff inside. Don't know what that is. One time I woke up to a spaghetti print. It's very rare for me to have spaghetti prints. I don't know why this was, but my notes here say it might have been flow calibration. And then one issue that I've had multiple times, maybe 3 times or so, is a y-axis shift. So while it's been printing something, I don't know what causes this, but it starts printing somewhere else. Let's say I was printing this and it got to there and then it shifted. It would mean like the top part of this box is actually in the wrong place and then the prints become useless. So I hope that gives you a flavor of the kind of print failures and the kind of errors that you might get. The majority of them are user error and they're things that you will learn as well. But even the ones that are not, I think they're still just like facts of 3D printing. They're things that you will most likely encounter no matter what printer you end up buying. Now I wanted to touch on the Bambu Handy app. It's very good. You can browse, it recommends things that it thinks you'll like based on what you've printed in the past. You can check your print progress. There's a lot that you can do from the app even while you're outside of the house, like you can speed up the print or slow it back down. You can skip objects, you can cancel the print. The only downside is that it's a little bit buggy. I've noticed that like a lot of the time it won't work. You just have to like close it and reopen it and then everything will work normally. This is especially the case if you want to view the like printing progress, if you want to see the live webcam thing. Often that'll be blank and I have to close the app, open it, and then it's fine. Or like often if I've opened it before and I open it, it'll be stuck on the splash screen for like minutes. I get tired of waiting. If I close it and open it again, it'll open instantly. Like it's so easy that when I want to print my own designs, instead of opening my computer, opening up the file, slicing, printing, I'll go on my own MakerWorld profile and I'll print it from there because I can do that just with my phone. So really nice app. If it crashes, just close it and open it. So lastly, should you buy it? The short version is, yes, I think you would love it. I think you'll have a great time with it. That's as long as you enjoy the process of making things more than the process of maintaining the printer. And that's not to bash anyone. Maintaining a printer is like a really fun thing in its own right. But for myself, and I think most people, we want to spend our time making cool stuff. Sometimes that's going to be other people's designs. Sometimes you might tinker with CAD and design your own things to print. And this printer makes it really easy to focus on the important stuff, like what to print. And the price makes it almost a no-brainer. So I bought mine in the anniversary sale in pounds for £359. In the Black Friday sale, which is probably going to be running by the time this video is published, this thing is going to go for under £300 with the AMS light, which is just a steal. It might mean an A2 is just around the corner, which fixes some of these same things that they fixed in the P1S to the P2S, like the touchscreen webcam. But You're not going to regret this thing. It's so good. And the problems with it are not as big as the problems with the P1S. Like the touchscreen is acceptable, the webcam is acceptable. It is so much fun. If you're thinking about it, if you might ever want to print something bigger than the A1 Mini's build plate, don't hesitate, just buy this thing. And I've said this at the beginning and I've expanded on it in the video, but I'll say it again. The biggest problem is that it makes printing too easy. So you'll take things for granted and you'll be a little bit annoyed when you have to dry filament, but that's fine. You just have to get over that. And because it's so easy, you will end up printing a lot of stuff. You'll have so much fun. Like, it's made me feel like a kid again, which is so nice. But you will end up buying dozens of spools of filament. You'll be printing for hours and your workshop and your house will just slowly but surely pile up with 3D prints. A huge thank you to every single supporter on Patreon and to every YouTube member. If you're able to and you would like to support me making more videos like this that are unbiased because I've bought things myself, your help on either platform is greatly appreciated. If you found the video helpful, I think you'd like this video where I printed 24 accessories for my A1 to tell you which ones are worth it and which ones are not. Spoiler alert, these enormous tongs are well worth it. Or you might also enjoy this video where I talk through the process of designing this, which I think might just be the best 3D printable dry box to keep your filament nice and dry.